G'day, toy blokes and toy sheelers from all around the world. This is Matty Boombaddy from Smash Tokyo Toys. I'm an Australian toy designer. I've been making toys for about 20 years now. I was a toy designer way back in the designer toy boom, back when Frank Kozik first decided to quit the rock and roll industry and make designer toys. That was when I thought, fuck me, I can do that. And holy shit was I wrong. I have 12 toys made at factory in China and Japan. I've done soft vinyl and hard vinyl toys. And what I learned over years and years of making toys was I was really bad at it. And trust me, I had a shit ton of people all around the world who agreed with me and made sure that I knew all about that. So I'm going to create these videos that are called How Not to Make Toys, and I'm going to go out of my way to try to convince you don't fucking do it. You will lose 50 grand, 75 grand, 100 grand, and many, many years of your life doing it, unless you are in the 1% of people in the world who actually succeed. Good luck to you if you are those people. Anyway, I promised last week that I would do a video on how to finance your toys. And in my videos, everything I say is common sense. Last week, our video, I was very, very, very surprised to be inundated with emails from people saying, holy shit, man, this is what happened to me. Everything you're saying is exactly what happened to me. Many, many toy designers have written to me and said, that happened to me. I lost my toy molds. My molds just disappeared. I have no idea where my toy line is. And I was like absolutely flabbergasted. I was like, holy shit, man, I love your toy. Your toy, that when that toy came out, I loved it. I had no idea that happened to you. Or worse, I said to them, yeah, man, I knew that happened to you. I was in Tokyo when your molds went missing. I know exactly where they are and what happened to them. To which they were like, can you please tell me? And I was like, no, I'll do a video on it. And you might be surprised. I will do a video in a couple of weeks saying exactly what happened to toy molds, where they go, what happens to them. Sometimes it's quite sinister, sometimes it's not. It's not at all sinister, you've just fucked up. You have not paid for something, or you've blasted all your toy up your nose. I've actually heard stories where people, they just didn't pay. They didn't pay for their toys, their toy molds, and that's what's happened to that toy line. Because as I said in my last video, people lie. Now, another thing that I was inundated with in my last video, I said that licensed toys that are produced in the hundreds of thousands, are not hand painted. They're actually machine painted. So it was really funny that I got 10, that's 10, the exact 10 number, factories in China. That's, not a message, no, there were no words spoken. I just got inundated with pictures of people in factories hand painting toys. So let me make it clear again. Yes, I know that soft vinyl toys, squeaky toys, resin statues are all hand painted. Yes, I know. I have Sofubi toys, soft vinyl toys that are mask painted and, they're painted by hand. Yeah, I know this. These are small run toys. Toys that are made in runs of 300 or 400 or 500. I was talking about mass-produced toys, licensed toys, Star Wars toys, G.I. Joes, Transformers, like my buddy here. Toys that are runs that there's 100,000 toys produced an hour are painted by machines. I've seen it. I've been there. Go watch the video. That was just a communication. There was like something went wrong there. Do not send me hundreds of pictures of you hand painting toys in small runs. I get that your Goku statues, you paint them. They're all spray painted in lots. I've seen that. My toy Seismic Ace was painted like that. I know all about it. Okay, I get it. Toys are still painted by hand using masks. I've seen it. I've been to the factories in Japan. I know all about it. I was talking about mass-produced toys, licensed toys. So I'm not going to go over that again. It's boring. I'm over it. Let's talk about how you can finance your toy. And there's like at least 6 ways you can do it. But before we go into it, let me tell you, the number one thing you need if you're going to make a toy or an entire toy line is motivation. I was at a huge toy swap meet that we have here in Brisbane. That was on Saturday morning. It's now Monday night. And I was talking to a man and his wife, and they had an amazing idea for a toy line. And they just said, well, we'll never do it because we're lazy as shit. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. I'm lazy as shit too. I promised a very, very big toy designer this C-3PO Boner card. Well, that was a month ago. Yeah, I'll send it, but he won't get it till probably next year. If you have no motivation, you can tell me and every toy designer in the world your best ideas for toys that could probably make you $1 million, but if you're never going to do it, if you've been saying since you were 10-year-old that your dream is to make toys and you still haven't done it, you are never going to do it. So even I'll tell you 6 ways right now to make toys, you'll never do it. I know a millionaire. He tells me all the time, hey Matt, you and me, we should make a toy. And I'm like, great, I've got a toy mechanic that has never been done. I have a toy mechanic that when I told Frank Kozik about it, he was like, holy shit, stop telling people. Because he knew that someone would steal it. It's a toy mechanic that has never, ever, ever been made before. Well, Kid Robot didn't want it, but he said, don't ever tell anyone because they will steal it. All right? Well, I don't have any money, so I'm not going to ever make it. So if I put that on the internet, in 6 months' time, that toy would be made. But I'm not going to because one day I might do it. So here we go. Number 1, ready? Get a bank loan. Common sense, right? Well, in America, it's much harder to get a bank loan than it is in Australia. In Australia, because I have a high-paying job, I can go into the bank and say, I would like $10,000 and I would like it to pay it back maybe $500 a month for the next 10 years. And they will say, okay, but they will say to you, what do you want a bank loan for? Well, guess what? I just go, white goods. And I say, okie dokie, Skip, let's do white goods. White goods are like your fridge, your freezer, microwave. So you just come up with a list of things and they will give you $10,000 and you can pay it off whichever system you want. That's how I made my Iron Man line. That was 8 toy robots, 7 parts, soft vinyl. That was how I did it. I got a loan for 10 grand. But here is your problem. Even if you get your loan, everyone relies on your first toy line being successful. If my toy line had been successful, I could have paid off that loan straight away. I thought that this amazing toy line that I'd made, which was multimodal, it had 600,000 different combinations, I thought it was going to take off and go through the roof. That's how we think, isn't it? Shit, we make these awesome toys, so surely everyone's going to buy them. Well, no one fucking bought it. It absolutely bombed. Which is weird, because in Japan, everyone was telling me it was the greatest thing they'd ever seen. So I thought I would be able to pay off the $10,000 and get started on our second line. Because it's multimodal. All we had to do was put in an extra head or an extra body part, and we would have 1 million different combinations for our robots. Well, that didn't work out the way we wanted it to. So I spent the next 5 years having to pay the money back. This is what happens. Like I always say in my videos, you can't really be angry about it, or you can't really, cry over spilled milk if you don't do any marketing or you don't sit down and actually plan all this out. I did not plan for failure. All right, so I don't know how banking really works in America, but here in Australia, yeah, you can go to the bank if you have a good job and you can get a loan very, very easily. All right, so banking. Get a bank loan. That is a very easy way to make your toy loan. Your toy line, sorry. Now the next one, when I tell people this, they all tell me, well, that's common sense. Yeah, it is. So give up on all the things that you love. Now, I'm not talking about give up on your family, sell your kids or anything like that. I mean, give up on your coffee that you drink every day. In Australia, coffee is $7 if you want a good coffee. I know people who drink 4 a day. 7 fours, that's $24. $24, what, 354 days a year or whatever it is, that's a lot of money. So give that up, right? And if you smoke at the same time, that's $4,000. We worked out $4,000 in 6 months if you smoke every day. Well, I met a lady, she smoked, she drank coffee, and her vice was collecting other people's toys. Well, we sat down, we worked it out. She was spending $8,000 a year on other people's toys. She was buying licensed toys, like 6 or 7 or 8 a week. So when we sat down and we worked out, I said, how about you just give all this up and stick that money in an account marked toys? So by the end of 1 year, she had saved 24,000 Australian dollars. Well, that's not just one toy line. That's like 3 toy lines if she's just doing 1 or 2 toys each. That's how you do it. But guess what? It goes all the way back to motivation. Not many people can give up on the things that they love. Their vices. They can't do it. I know so many people, they come to me and they're like, Matt, my live stream is making a toy. Well, they can't because they cannot give up on the things they love. Do you know in Australia, a video game, like the recommended retail price of a video game is 100 Australian dollars? Well, I know guys who are buying 5 a month. $500 a month. Dude, that's if you just wanted to make a small toy, one small toy, you've covered it if you stop playing video games. Well, they can't. They can't. These are things that you've been doing for your whole lifetime. If you're a guy my age, it's very hard to give up on things you've been doing for 50 years. Is this not common sense? So me, I've stopped making toys, right? So my passion is travel. Well, I have a travel account. So I stopped drinking coffee. I stopped buying other people's toys. Most of my toys I get now through trades because I have a whole double garage full of toys from the last 30, 40 years of collecting. So I stopped coffee. I've stopped playing video games. I've stopped collecting other people's toys. And that's a lot of money that goes into that travel account. Well, it's up to $60,000 after 5 years. I travel wherever I want. It's great. That's what you need to do. Now, the next one, number 4, very easy. If you've been a toy collector forever, then you're probably like me. You have a shit ton of toys. I have whole collections. So sell everything. Number 4, sell everything. Sell everything. Might be number 3. Sell everything you have. There's your toy line. You just have to, again, give up on the things you love. So, when I was doing Seismic Ace, I had, I think, from 25 years of collecting, I had a complete set of boxed Japanese G1, boxed Japanese G2, all the way through to Energon, but they were all boxed Japanese figures. Well, I sold all those off. I had a full set of Jurassic Park right through to Jurassic World, all boxed, all Japanese. Boom. Those were all bought by a man from Japan, and they sold for a shit ton of money. Huge. Well, that financed an entire toy line. So it can be done. Now, people in America are like, well, it's almost impossible to sell an entire collection unless, Matt, we do what you did. We just happen to have a collector. It's really not. At the toy event we have here, James's Old Toys Toy Swap Meet, we have like 6 guys who own vintage toy stores, and they just come in and they buy whole sets because that's how they keep their stores running. They buy whole collections. Shit, the very first time I went to this swap meet, a guy just came along and he was like, and I had like a full set of like whatever the last, I think it was the Generations toys. And the guy just walked up to me and said, how much do you want for all of them? And I went, $2,000. And he said, okay, here you go. Now, I think I'm up to my 6th swap meet now, and that's happened to me every time. The same guy who owns the store comes up to me and says, what do you want for the whole table? And I'll go, $2,000, $1,000, whatever it is, whatever I think they're worth. He buys the whole collection. Well, it kind of screws me for the next one, but I'm a guy who can find whole collections of toys. I usually just go to my mate's shop, buy a shit ton of toys for him, and that's my table for the next one. So this stuff can be done. It's not, and I love to say this, it's not secret wizard toy business. It's common sense. All right, next one. This is something that Australians don't do. Collaborate. We don't collaborate. Trust me. Back in the designer toy boom, I would sit 6 or 7 guys who wanted to make toys down at a cafe, and I'd say, hey, look, I've got $50,000. Why don't we all make a toy together? And holy shit, after 2 hours, they'd be fighting and talking about how they don't trust this guy or we don't trust this guy. And I was like, you don't have to trust anyone. All you've got to do is agree on a toy design because here's the money up front. Well, that shit still happens. I still can't get anyone to collaborate. The money's there. I've already got the money. Nope, no one will collaborate. Very strange thing. But you might have noticed in the last 15 years that in Asia and in Japan and in Taiwan, all of these people are making third-party transformers. Well, holy shit, I remember back right when this was starting, back when that very first Optimus Prime, the Nightformer or whatever it was that turned into a train, I was talking to a man from Takara, Taiwan, and he said to me, hey Matt, have you noticed way back in the IDW, I think it's IDW Transformers versus G.I. Joe, he said to me, there's actually a full turnaround of Rumble and Frenzy, and they transform into grenades. He said, we should get together and we should find a couple of people and we should collaborate and do a third-party version of that. He said, we could do it right here in Taiwan, or we could do it in China, and we could do them on sprues, which is how most third-party toys are made, very cheaply. And I said, oh, geez, I don't know about the licensing problems of that because of G.I. Joe. And he said, you could just do it with that. You just don't put the badges on, which is how third-party toys work. He said, you could do it so cheap. You could literally fit all of the parts onto one sprue. And I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. But back then, third-party toys were just starting. Well, guess what? No third-party company has made that toy since then. Holy cow, I have tried to get so many people to make this toy and nobody has done it. So pull it out. Go find the 4-part miniseries, IDW Transformers versus G.I. Joe, and find these Rumble and Frenzy that turn into grenades and tell me I'm not fucking crazy. No one's done it and you can do it. He said that you could make it about this big. You would just need to do one of them and change the head. He said it'll all fit on one sprue. And I was just like, I can't believe all these years later no one's done it. Hasn't been done by any third party, and I'm putting it out there on the internet right there. Go fucking make it. Get 6 or 7 guys, all put in $1,000 each, and make this third party toy, because do it. Collaborate. Why are we not all collaborating? I tried right through when Frank Kozik first started. I tried so hard to get a bunch of people to collaborate, but no one would do it. I wish that was a thing. I wish that all of us designers could just get together, like 6 or 7 or 8 of us, like actual proper famous people, could all get together and collaborate on one project, and I just think it would be magic. But it just doesn't seem to happen. Fuck, I tried to collaborate with someone today who's a pretty famous guy who literally came out and said, shit, one of my molds has disappeared on me today. That happened today, and I was like, fuck, that's funny. I get called a liar saying that molds disappear all the time. But that happened today. So collaborate. I swear, if you get 4 people, you put in $1,000, that is the tooling on your toy. This toy line that you come to me and you say, Jesus, it's been my dream to do a toy. Well, don't you go to San Diego Comic-Con and there's 1 million people there whose passion is toys? Surely you could find 5 guys to put in $1,000 each and make a toy line. Seems obvious to me. All right, next one. This is the one I hate. And if you come to me and say you want to do it, I'm probably going to say don't do it. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is riddled with problems. Now, I get a lot of you have been very successful, but let me tell you what can go wrong with crowdfunding. So there's a bozo here in Brisbane, and I always remember that he crowdfunded his toy and it got picked up like that. He crowdfunded it in like a couple of days. And everyone was like, wow, congratulations. What he didn't tell you, the people who were in on the crowdfunding, was that he didn't put in the postage. So postage for the toy was like $20 US worldwide. Well, if 6,000 or 10,000 people bought that toy and it was 20 US, that's $20,000 that he forgot to factor in. And he was a young guy and he had no money. So he was completely screwed for years. Well, he never told you that. No, he lied. He told everyone he was this awesome, amazing guy with this amazing toy. It was a total lie. He's probably still in hock now, 10 years later. But all around the world, everyone thought he was this great and amazing new Australian toy designer. No, he lied about frickin' everything. He lied about told everyone his toy was a Japanese Sofubi toy. It's not, it's a Chinese Sofubi toy. You know, everything was a big lie, but he wanted that, I want to be toy famous. Well, you're a dickhead if you want to be toy famous. Nobody wants to be toy famous. That's just a stupid thing to want to be. Most of us, we want to make toys because we want our art to be in other people's houses. Like that was my dream. Even when I was a little boy, I wanted to make something that other people would love because I'm really passionate about toys. Like, I had the G1 version of this and I absolutely hated it. Like it just, for me, it wasn't, I know it was functional, but I just hate it. It just looked stupid. It was a transformer that didn't transform. And recently someone brought this into my friend's shop and it's huge and it's just amazing. And so when I got it, I mean, you would have noticed, like I'm sitting there holding onto its hand, like this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I love it. Everything about it. I love to look at how many parts it's got. You know, when I first got it, I was like, you know, touching all the different lines on it to see how each part was made. Because having been in factories, I know that something like this, the tooling and the machining of it, would cost like $100,000 to tool this thing. I love it. To me, the person who had to sculpt all these parts and get it prepared, they would love this. This would be like a work of passion for them. So to want to be toy famous, I just think you're a total dickhead. If you're that guy who's at San Diego Comic-Con with your mirrored glasses on and you're signing autographs, I find that really offensive. Ugh, just makes me sick. Ugh. Anyway, so crowdfunding can go wrong in a number of ways. I've just given you an example of one way that I've heard of, but I've heard of more. If you don't factor in the postage, you're screwed. Another one that I had to laugh about, it was one I heard of when I was in Tokyo. The guys I was sitting with who are very, it was one of those occasions where I was sitting at a table with people who I greatly admire and I just didn't speak, I just listened. And one of the stories they told was about someone who did crowdfunding, and I'm not sure what they did wrong with the postage, but when they were sending out all the toys, people were saying they didn't receive them and they couldn't prove it. So basically they had to refund all this money. So again, if you've received 20,000, if you've sent out 20,000 toys or 5,000, whatever the run was, they had to refund all this money knowing that they had sent out the toys. Like, that must have just been the worst nightmare. I would have hated that. Okay, so again, the last one, like, just don't crowdfund. If you're Hasbro, go ahead. Like, if you're a $1 billion company or $1 million company, go ahead and crowdfund because you can cover your losses. Everything you do is, you can actually cover all that stuff. But if you're an individual, if something goes wrong, you will be paying it off for the rest of your life. I just tell people all the time, don't do crowdfunding unless you are damn sure you know what you're doing. All right, the last one, and people laugh when I tell them this, but I'm really not joking, is be Oprah rich. Be rich. You can do whatever you like. And you're probably sitting there going, Matt, we're not rich. Like, a lot of people who want to make toys are not rich, and like they've probably done one of the 5 other things we've talked about. But there are people, and you will know who I'm talking about when I start saying this, who are so rich they can make whatever they like, and they choose toys. So here's how you can tell when someone is Oprah rich and they're a toy designer. 1, They always make toys of themselves. The first thing they do is they make toys of themselves. Well, guess what, total millionaire rich guy? No one's going to buy a fucking toy of you. We don't know who you are. You're just some rich person. All right? But they always do. Right now I'm thinking of a designer that I know, and I absolutely love them, but they've made toys of themselves. All right? Usually they're toys of themselves doing the ups. Flipping the bird, I think you guys overseas call it. Right? Well, no one's going to buy it. I wouldn't buy a toy of them. I don't know who they are. They're just some rich person. All right. Second thing they do is they make apparel which is offensive. So they always have shirts that say fuck you, fuck off. They do key rings that say fuck off, fuck you, whatever. They always do because of their ego. They're very rich. They always have huge egos. Now, guess what? Unless you're a band or a wrestler or you're in movies, those are two things that just aren't going to work out for you. The third thing is, for some unknown reason, these guys have because they've got millions of dollars, they can do and buy whatever they want, but people send them toys. Don't send these guys toys. They've got $1 million. They can buy whatever toys they like. They're always posting pics of their huge toy collections. So why are you spending all your money on buying them toys? Buy yourself toys. It's weird. It's a weird phenomenon. You sending them toys, they're not going to give a shit. They might mention your name once and say, hey, look, someone bought me this toy. That's it. But what do you get out of that? You don't get anything out of it. They're not going to recognize you on the street. I've been a toy designer for 20 years. No one's ever sent me shit. Not ever. Not even when I was making toys. Do you know how much money I blew on sending other people toys? A lot of money. They never even they wouldn't even recognize me now. They wouldn't even say, hey, Matt, thanks for sending me that thing. No, never. They probably threw my toys in the bin. And that's what happens to you. Don't do that. I think John Paul Kaiser once said to me that the advice I got from him was, don't give away free shit. Nobody appreciates you. That was probably the best advice I ever got. So we'll talk about marketing next time. That is one of the advice I'll give you when it comes to marketing. You're going to blow a lot of money on marketing if you're giving away heaps of free shit to people who are probably just going to chuck it away, or they're not even going to remember you, or that toy that you give away might end up in the back of their shelf. You really need to sort of look out for the things you really love. I spent years refusing to collect other people's stuff, and now I'm kind of just getting the stuff I really like. I used to have 2,000 Transformers. Now I have 9. That's it. Because I need my money for the things that I really love. I don't get it. I don't get people who have everything collections, and then they realize when they're 50, my age, they go, holy shit, I have 200 grand worth of stuff I don't love. I don't even look at it. All of these robots here, every day I literally walk along and I look at all of them. Pick them up, because I really admire the sculptors who make these toys, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. All right, that's me for tonight. I really want to talk about where your molds have gone. So I've been talking today to that man who announced today that his molds have gone. He doesn't know where they are or why they were stopped. And I do know. I was in Japan one day talking to a middleman who got very angry at me for asking him a simple question and blurted out a whole bunch of shit. And that was a couple of years ago. So maybe we should have a talk about what's happened to your toys and your molds and why things disappear in Japan. Because, I know. And it's not really a secret. Your molds do not belong to you. And if you think that you're going to drop 20 grand on iron molds in Japan and at the end of it you're going to get those, you are not going to get those. They don't belong to you. That is a myth. So anyway, I'm Matty Boombaddy. Share my stuff. Feel free to fight with each other or fight with me or call me a liar and do whatever. I don't care. It's been 8 years now since I stopped making toys. And I stopped making them because it made me very unhappy. And I know a lot of people who will tell you the same. They stopped because making toys made them unhappy. If you are not in America or you are not right in Japan right now, you will find, the same as me, that you are not part of the scene. So, if that's your thing, if you want to be part of the scene, I wish you luck. But if you really need someone to talk to and you need some advice, I will give you free advice. I'll tell you which are the best factories to go to in China, which are the best in Japan, who to avoid, who will just steal your money and never ever contact you ever again. Does that happen to me? I can tell you all the designers that's happened to, just like me. So yeah, if you want to talk, you can talk to me. All right, peace out, have fun.